Hello, glad to see you on the channel. Subscribe, leave a like, and don't forget to write a comment. Enjoy watching.
There was always something artificial about Christmas at my parents' house, like the garland-wrapped staircase was trying too hard to distract from the fact that nobody really wanted to look each other in the eye. Every ornament was in place, every candle perfectly symmetrical on the fireplace mantel, and the smell of cinnamon was thick in the air like some kind of distraction perfume. I parked my 10-year-old Civic behind Holly's glossy new Audi, the one she got for her safety after a minor fender bender she definitely caused while texting. I stepped out, smoothed my coat, and reminded myself not to expect anything that might resemble fairness this year. Again. Inside, the scene was already in full swing. Mom wore her holiday hostess smile like it was painted on, and Dad was seated in his recliner with a mug of coffee that I knew was half whiskey even though he swore off drinking years ago. Holly sat on the floor, curled up with one leg under her like some adult-sized elf, giggling as she unwrapped a massive white box with gold ribbon, everyone waiting with forced excitement like they didn't already know what was inside. I hovered near the door for a moment, unacknowledged. Not one person looked up when I said, "Hey, Merry Christmas." No one turned. I could have screamed fire and they probably would have kept filming Holly. The box burst open to reveal a thick envelope with Princess Cruises in big, swirly font. Holly squealed like a toddler. Oh my God. Oh my God, a cruise. To Greece. Wait, this is the one with the private balcony suites, right? Right? She was already standing, already hugging Mom and Dad in a perfect triangle of performative love. My mom's mascara was misty. My dad said, "You've earned it, sweetie. You've been working so hard. You deserve a break." I felt something twist in my stomach, but it wasn't surprise, it was muscle memory. The way his voice sounded so tender with her, like he'd been saving warmth just for Holly. Same tone he used when she graduated high school, when she got her first big job, even when she got dumped and it somehow turned into a celebration of her worthiness. That word, earned. It had haunted me my whole life. I stood off to the side like a stranger in a hotel lobby, watching someone else's family open gifts. I didn't expect anything from them, not even a card. I didn't want anything either, not this year. I had something better. After everyone quieted down, I stepped forward. "I have something too," I said. Holly looked confused, like the scene didn't include me. My mom blinked as if seeing me for the first time. My dad looked tired already. I reached into my purse and pulled out a folded page. Just one. No card, no glitter, no frills. Just a folded piece of paper. I walked over and handed it to Dad, who took it like it was a bill he didn't remember charging. He opened it. His eyes flicked down the page. One line, then another. His face didn't move at first, just that steady, unreadable look he used when he was going through contracts or skimming legal briefs. Then I saw it, his fingers tensed around the page. His lips parted. His brow furrowed, slightly and then deeper. And then, the page started to shake. Just a little, but enough for me to know I'd landed a punch I'd been practicing my whole damn life. Nobody said anything. For once, not even Holly. The silence wasn't peaceful, it was dense, heavy, charged like right before a storm breaks. Mom leaned in toward him. "Richard," she asked, her voice trying to be casual but faltering under its own weight. He didn't respond. He just kept staring at the paper like it had rewritten every memory he'd ever clung to. I didn't sit. I just stood there, holding eye contact with him for the first time since I was 12. The last time I tried to confront him about something, and he shut me down with that classic line, "Don't start drama, Carla. This family has no room for it." Except now, the drama was sitting in his lap. He looked up at me, his eyes glassy but not soft. He wasn't angry. Not yet. Just confused. And scared. "Where did you get this?" he asked, his voice lower than I'd ever heard it. There was a crack in it, like a wire fraying under pressure. I didn't answer. Let him sweat. Let the rest of them start to wonder. Let Christmas morning burn. They always said Holly earned everything, like the universe itself had handed her a personalized credit card with no spending limit and no bill ever due. Just endless approval and round after round of applause for simply existing with good hair and a symmetrical smile. I remember the exact moment I realized the word earned meant something entirely different in our family than it did out in the world. It was the summer she turned 16, the kind of hot that melts the plastic edges off of lawn chairs, and my dad rolled into the driveway with a red Volkswagen Jetta, brand new, still wrapped in a giant silver bow like we were in some kind of commercial. I was 13, standing on the porch barefoot with a melting popsicle in my hand and this sense of sudden nausea in my gut that had nothing to do with the heat. She earned it, my mom said, her voice buttery with pride. She's been so responsible, and she got straight A's again. We're just so proud. I had just finished 7th grade with a B average and 0 detentions. I'd been walking our neighbor's 3 dogs every morning at 6 for $20 a week because Mom said if I wanted a phone, I'd have to earn it. I guess I just didn't earn it enough. 2 years later, when I turned 16, they took me to a garage sale and bought me a bike, used, slightly rusted, with peeling stickers and squeaky brakes. They didn't even haggle on the price. It's all about learning the value of things, Dad said as he tied the bike to the roof of the car. You'll appreciate it more this way. So, yeah, when I say I'm familiar with the word earned, I mean it like someone who grew up watching her sister win medals for being born and learned to bite her tongue before asking why she was always expected to clap. I was 15 when Holly won the Best Student Award for the 3rd year in a row. That means she had already won it 5 times before. They threw her a party in the backyard with cake, balloons, and a karaoke machine. When I passed my driver's permit test on the first try, I got a thumbs up and a reminder not to crash into anything. But the real kicker wasn't the big things, it was the little cuts. Like how Holly's meltdowns were stress-related, but mine were attitude problems. Or how she could leave dirty dishes for 3 days without a word, while I got grounded for forgetting to clean the bathroom. My mom once told me I was just harder to love, then tried to spin it as a compliment. You're strong, Carla. Not everyone gets you. That's a gift, even if it feels lonely. The thing is, you start to believe it after a while, that you're somehow less than, that love is a prize you have to earn by being easy and quiet and small. But I was never small. I asked too many questions, stayed up too late reading weird books, and called out bullshit before I even knew how to spell the word. That made me inconvenient, and in our house, inconvenience was a sin no one forgave. When I found out about the paper, about what was really on it, it didn't shock me. It didn't break me. What broke me was the fact that it confirmed something I had felt my whole damn life, but never said out loud. I wasn't part of the real family. Not really. I was the other one, the extra line in the Christmas letter, the one who got sent hand-me-downs and gift wrap and was expected to smile through it like it was Tiffany's. Holly didn't earn anything but attention. She didn't earn the cruise, or the car, or the trust. She just knew how to perform the kind of daughter they could stomach. And maybe that's what stung the most, realizing they didn't even try to hide it. They built a whole mythology around her brilliance and my bad attitude, like the narrative made the neglect more palatable. But they forgot something. Neglected kids pay attention. They remember. They store things. And they learn how to make silence work like a weapon. Back in the living room, Dad still clutched the folded paper like it was wired to a bomb. Mom sat rigid on the couch, glancing between us like we were reenacting a scene she didn't recognize from the family script. Holly finally broke the silence. Carla, what is this supposed to be? Some kind of stunt? She sneered, like I'd stolen her spotlight again, like this was all just me acting out because I didn't get a gift. I turned to her, calm and flat. It's not for you. Then I leaned in toward Dad, lowering my voice so only he could hear me, but making sure my words were sharp enough to slice the air around us. You always told me to keep my nose out of grown-up things, I said, watching him blink hard like the words were scraping something raw inside him. But this, I pointed to the paper still trembling in his hand. This was never grown up. This was just cruel. I was 11 the first time I heard my father yell at my mother like he hated her, not in that sarcastic, annoyed married people way, but with real heat and raw venom. The kind of sound that makes you instinctively stop breathing because something primal in your chest says, "This is not safe." It was a Saturday in early fall, that strange time when the air starts to lose its heat, but your skin still clings to the memory of summer. I'd come inside from the backyard, where I'd been trying to teach myself how to do cartwheels because nobody ever took me to gymnastics like they did Holly, and I remember holding a juice box in one hand and a rock I found in the other when I heard the voices. They were upstairs in their bedroom, which was usually off limits when the door was shut, but this time the door wasn't fully closed. It was cracked open just enough that the hallway carried every word like it was waiting to deliver them straight into my skull. At first, I thought they were just fighting about money again, or Holly's constant activities, or something dumb like who forgot to buy milk. But then my father said something I've never forgotten, not in all the years since. "I covered for you, Nancy," he snapped, louder than I'd ever heard him before. "I did it for the sake of the goddamn family. Don't you dare act like this is all on me." And then her voice, brittle and desperate, but sharp like a needle. "We had no choice, Richard. We did what we had to do." There was a pause. Then, a thud like a drawer slamming shut or something being thrown, and Dad said, "If that closet ever gets opened, it all falls apart. Everything. You better remember that." And then, just like that, silence. I didn't ask. I didn't make a sound. I didn't even move until I heard their voices drop back to normal, like someone flipping a switch back to polite. I backed down the stairs so quietly I felt like a ghost in my own house. I never asked what closet they meant, because by Monday morning they were holding hands over coffee and pretending nothing had happened. And if I knew anything by the age of 11, it was this: our family was built on pretending. Years passed. That memory stayed buried under everything else, but it never fully faded. It just lived there in the back of my brain, whispering whenever I passed their bedroom door or caught a whiff of my father's aftershave. I didn't think about it much until last year, when they went to Florida for 2 weeks and asked me to house sit. Holly was too busy with some conference in San Diego, and they didn't trust anyone else to water Mom's stupid orchids. So I said yes, mostly because I needed a break from my own crappy apartment, and partly because something deep down in my gut told me there was still something left to dig up. It started innocently enough. I vacuumed, I fed the cat, I did all the things a good daughter is supposed to do, while pretending not to notice the way they still hadn't updated a single photo of me in over 10 years. Then, on the 6th night, I went into the attic, not looking for anything specific, just restless, just chasing that old phantom feeling from when I was a kid and overheard something I wasn't supposed to. The attic was musty, cluttered, full of half-labeled boxes and ugly old Christmas decorations, and it would have stayed just that, another dead end, if I hadn't noticed the one box that looked out of place. It was smaller than the others, sleek, almost clinical-looking, sealed with heavy-duty gray duct tape. No label. No dust. No indication of when it had been placed there or why. But I knew. The second I touched it, I knew this was the closet. Not a literal one, maybe, but the metaphorical kind, the kind filled with skeletons they never wanted touched. I carried it downstairs, sat on the living room floor, and cut the tape with the sharpest kitchen knife I could find. Inside, I found papers. Dozens of them. Legal files, letters, printed emails with timestamps going back over 2 decades. Some were blacked out with thick redactions, like someone was afraid of being sued or hunted down. I didn't even know where to start, but something in the middle caught my eye: a birth certificate. Not Holly's. Mine. At first, I didn't think much of it. I mean, it's not weird to have a birth certificate in a box of documents, right? But then I read the details. And that's when my stomach dropped. The name listed under father wasn't Richard Dawson. The birth date wasn't wrong, exactly, but it was off by a week. And the place of birth, well, That was the worst part. I had always been told I was born at County General, same as Holly, delivered by the same family doctor who supposedly gave me my first pink knit hat. But this certificate didn't say County General. It said St. Mercy Private Maternity Home, a place I'd never even heard of, let alone visited. I just stared at it, that thin piece of paper that had more weight than anything else I'd ever held, trying to figure out what the hell any of it meant. If Richard wasn't my father, then who was? Why would they hide it? Why the secrecy, the lies, the fake stories about birthdays and baby blankets? That's when I saw the second document, folded underneath. A sealed envelope with no address, just my name written in shaky, familiar handwriting. I didn't open it. Not yet. Because part of me wasn't ready to read what was inside. Not yet. People like to say that the truth sets you free, but what they never mention is how sometimes that freedom feels more like falling face first into cold cement while everyone around you keeps walking like they didn't see a damn thing. The moment I held that birth certificate in my hands, staring at the black ink spelling out a version of my life that didn't match a single memory, I felt something inside me detach, like a tether snapping in my chest, quiet but final. I didn't tell anyone about the box. I put it back the next day, resealed it like nothing had ever happened, smiled when they returned from Florida and asked how the cat was, and waited until I was absolutely sure I could pull the next thread without losing my mind. It took almost 3 weeks for me to find the old toothbrush. The one my father kept in his travel kit, tucked away in the downstairs bathroom drawer that everyone forgot existed, except him. It still had some of his short, wiry bristles stuck in it, like tiny shards of DNA waiting to confirm what I already knew deep down but still hadn't said out loud, not even to myself. I ordered the test online through one of those shady private labs that promise results in 7 business days and discretion guaranteed. I didn't use my name, not really. I signed up as Catherine Dawson, which wasn't my name either, but close enough to look legal and far enough from my real self that it wouldn't raise any alarms. The day the envelope arrived, I didn't open it right away. It sat on my kitchen table like a ticking bomb in a paper sleeve, while I made coffee I didn't drink and stared at my phone for hours, scrolling through pictures of people pretending their lives made sense. Eventually, I sliced it open with a steak knife. Inside was the paper. 1 sheet. 2 sentences. Probability of paternity, 0%. There it was. No drama. No fanfare. Just a fact printed in 12-point font that told me, with mathematical certainty, I did not belong to Richard Dawson. Not biologically, not genetically, not in any of the ways that people think matter most when it comes to the word family. And yet, the part that should have shattered me didn't. The part that did? Tucked in the bottom corner of the page was a handwritten note from the lab tech, something like, "We detected prior testing associated with this sample in our system." Prior testing. That meant someone had done this before. That meant he already knew. And that right there, that was the moment the walls didn't just crack, they crumbled. That was the moment I realized this wasn't just a secret hidden from me by chance, or some long-lost scandal swept under the rug. No. Richard Dawson had known I wasn't his daughter for years. Maybe decades. And instead of facing it, instead of choosing decency or truth or even just the bare minimum effort of kindness, he chose to punish me. Not directly, not loudly. No bruises, no screaming. Just quiet, cutting emotional exile, administered over the course of a lifetime so slowly it became impossible to prove. The silent dinners. The way he never came to my piano recital but sat front row at every single one of Holly's cheer competitions, even the ones where she didn't compete. The years I spent trying to impress him with awards, papers, scholarships, only to hear "that's nice, but don't get cocky." While Holly could breathe and be celebrated, I had to build cathedrals out of matchsticks just to get a nod. It wasn't favoritism. It was vengeance. He hated me for being the living, breathing evidence of a betrayal he never got over, even though I was just a baby. He raised me, sure. He fed me, clothed me, made sure I didn't die under his roof. But that was it. No affection. No love. No sense of mine. Just a grim obligation, dressed in forced politeness, and capped off with a lifetime subscription to emotional starvation. So when I handed him the folded paper on Christmas morning, I wasn't giving him something new. I was handing back what he already knew, what he'd buried in his own damn closet while pretending to be the honorable man holding the family together. I wanted him to look at it again, to see it in my handwriting, to realize I had found the skeleton and wasn't afraid of it anymore. When he read it, I saw something collapse behind his eyes. Not shock, no, that wasn't it. It was recognition. Like a man caught in a lie so old he forgot how to deny it. I watched his mouth move, trying to say something that wouldn't come out. My mother was frozen next to him, lips pursed, skin pale, like she knew this day was always coming but prayed it wouldn't arrive on a holiday. Holly, of course, looked lost. She was trying to process it like it was bad gossip, something messy but not personal. "Wait, what is this?" she asked, her voice cracking. "What the hell does this mean?" I didn't even look at her. I locked eyes with Richard, the man who pretended to be my father, the man who could barely look at me even now. "I always thought you just didn't love me the same," I said, keeping my voice steady even though my hands were shaking. "But it's worse than that." He tried to open his mouth, but I cut him off. "You chose to punish me for your wife's mistake." There are moments in life when the silence in a room becomes louder than any scream you've ever heard, and this was one of them right there in the middle of Christmas morning, surrounded by tinsel and wrapping paper and all the fake warmth they'd layered over a foundation built from 35 years of lies. My father sat like a statue, still holding the paper, now wrinkled at the edges from how tightly his hands had clenched it, and my mother looked like she'd swallowed glass, but was trying very hard not to let it show. Her voice broke the stillness first, soft and careful, like she was stepping barefoot over broken dishes. "We did what we had to do," she said, not looking at me, not even looking at him, just staring off somewhere into the wall like she was talking to the past. "You don't understand the pressure we were under back then. It was a different time. I had to think of what was best for everyone." For a second, I genuinely thought she was going to start crying, not from guilt or remorse, but from the fear of losing control over the script she'd been rehearsing her whole life. I almost laughed, not because it was funny, but because it was so goddamn absurd that she still thought this was about pressure or appearances, like I'd come in here to ruin the party just to make a point. My father didn't speak. He just stared at the floor like it had betrayed him too. Then Holly, because of course it would be Holly, cut in with her signature self-important confusion, the kind that made everything about her even when it obviously wasn't. "Okay, seriously," she said, stepping between us like the lead in a bad play. "Can someone explain what this is even about? Are we really doing this today? I mean, I get that Carla's having a moment, but it's not a moment, Holly," I interrupted, my voice lower than I expected, calmer than it should have been given the fury rolling through me like a thunderstorm just barely contained. "It's a reckoning." She blinked. "Eh, what?" I smiled, just a little, just enough for her to feel the shift. "You know that cruise you got this morning? The one with the private balcony suite and the 5-star dining and the couple's massage you're already planning to cancel for store credit." She crossed her arms, defensive without knowing why yet. "What about it?" "It's not from them," I said, nodding toward our parents. "They didn't pay for that cruise." "I did." The air tightened like a wire pulled taut. For a few seconds, nobody said anything. Then Mom whispered, "What are you talking about?" I reached into my coat pocket and pulled out a folded receipt, one I printed that morning before I came over. I tossed it on the coffee table beside the half-empty mimosa glasses and the remnants of the wrapping paper. That cruise was paid out of a shared account, one I inherited 2 months ago when the trust matured. You know, the one Dad set up when I was a baby. The one you never mentioned. I turned to Holly, whose face had gone pale but tight with something between denial and rage. "You accessed it through the old login, the one you thought no one monitored. You transferred the money last week." "I froze the account this morning. Banks reversing the charges." Merry Christmas. She opened her mouth to argue, but no words came out. For once, the golden girl didn't have a script. She just stood there, stunned, like she'd finally tripped over her own reflection and had no idea how to get up. Dad still didn't look at me. He couldn't. Maybe he was still processing the fact that even after cutting me out of his heart, he somehow left me everything in his name. The trust was real. I hadn't touched a penny of it until now. I didn't even know about it until I started digging, and the lawyer told me it had been untouched, growing slowly under my name for more than 30 years. It wasn't much by some people's standards, but enough to matter, enough for a house down payment, a clean start, or in this case, a trap. Because I wanted to know. I needed to know whether Holly would take something that wasn't hers, even without asking. And of course, she did. Of course, she helped herself like she always had, because people like Holly are built on the assumption that consequences are for other people. You set me up, she hissed finally, her voice trembling with a combination of shame and fury. No, I said, grabbing my keys from the table. I gave you a choice. You failed the test. Mom took a step forward, tears finally in her eyes now. Carla, please don't do this. We can talk. We can fix it. But I was already at the door. I paused just long enough to take one final look at the family I'd tried so hard to believe in for so long, standing there like the cast of a sitcom that just realized the cameras had stopped rolling. I tried to fix it, I said, my hand on the knob. You just didn't like my version. And then I left. I walked out to my car, the one with the chipped paint and the rattling muffler, got in without slamming the door, and sat for a minute staring at the steering wheel like it held some kind of answer I hadn't found yet. The house behind me was still lit up like a Christmas card, picture perfect on the outside, full of rot on the inside. Then I opened the glove compartment, slowly, like I was afraid it might bite. Inside, there was a second envelope. Unopened. Untouched. I'd been carrying it around for 2 weeks, waiting for the right time. I looked down at it. My name was written on the front again, this time in a different hand. I didn't open it. Not yet. I looked straight ahead, like I was staring through the windshield and into something bigger than all of us. I never told them the second part, I whispered to myself. Not yet. Maybe next Christmas.